Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie ESTHER here, and this is my second YouTube channel called Funko Pops, where I make videos about my hobby of collecting these Funko Pop figures you see here behind me. Well, oh boy, my mom's gonna be so happy today because she said, "What happened to the autograph video? You promised us that the next video you were gonna make a couple weeks ago was gonna be talking about your Niagara Falls Comic Con experience and how you had to wait so long for autographs and you never made it." And she's right, I didn't. So here we are today. We're going to recount my harrowing tale of acquiring autographs at Niagara Falls Comic Con. So this happened last month in June. Niagara Falls Comic Con was on, and I decided to go there to get some Funko Pops autographed by some of the horror celebrities that were there in attendance. And we talked about this in my last video about Niagara Falls Comic Con, how I didn't buy my ticket in case the celebrities I wanted to see canceled, so I didn't buy my ticket ahead of time, so I had to wait in line an hour to buy my ticket. And the show ran from 3 until 8. I didn't get in until 4, and then I wound up spending almost 4 hours in line for autographs. So I didn't get to do as much shopping as I wanted to, which is probably the best for my pocketbook. So I wanted to go see Doug Bradley, who is the actor who played Pinhead, the Cenobite, the Hell Priest from the Hellraiser films. I definitely wanted to get his autograph first and foremost. And then the other person that I wanted to get their autograph is Kane Hodder, who played Jason in 4 different Friday the 13th movies. He's the definitive Jason for many people. So those were the two that I really wanted to get an autograph for. So Doug Bradley was first on my list. So I went to go see him, and I wanted to go on the Friday because my experience with these comic conventions in the past is that the Saturday days, the lines are just incredibly long. It was hot, sticky in there, and just being around masses of people, not my thing on on a good day. So Doug Bradley's line wasn't too bad, about I would say 20 people in line. And I thought, okay, this isn't going to be bad. And, well, I wound up taking about an hour for me to get through the line. And what I discovered while I was waiting in line, a couple people went up and met Doug and got the autograph. Then Doug got called away to do what I like to call the prom pictures, where he has a set time that he has to meet people in a separate room at the venue, and they get professional photos taken. Fans pay to get professional photos taken with the celebrity. So he left to do that, and I thought, well, should I wait or should I leave and come back? And the handler said that he didn't have too many to take. There wasn't much of a line for his photo op. So I said, okay, well, I'll wait. And sure enough, he came back like within 5 or 10 minutes, and the line resumed. So that was good. But what I discovered while waiting in line is that they have these special event passes where you can pay $234 for an all-access VIP, and it winds up being like a front-of-the-line pass, the same way that you see theme parks sell these ticket packages for extra money, where you can skip the line for a ride at the theme park. Well, the VIPs can just walk up to the front of the line and meet the celebrity and get an autograph. And that wasn't too bad. But also the exhibitors can do that. And the exhibitors are the people who pay for the booths to sell their wares there. They can also come up and skip the line. And the worst part about that is the exhibitor doesn't just come up and get one thing signed. The exhibitor will come up and get 5, 10, 20 things signed. And that can be a little time consuming. So there was a point where we were in line and we just kept getting jumped in the line by a VIP or an exhibitor coming up, to the point where the VIPs and the exhibitors also had like their own little separate line. So we had to wait for all of those people to get processed before anybody in our line could move. So we had about 30 minutes where nobody in our line moved because we kept getting jumped the line over and over and over again. So that was a bit annoying. There was one guy behind me who was freaking right out. And he was actually kind of making two young women uncomfortable with how much he was complaining about everybody jumping the line. He was saying, these exhibitors and VIPs are here all weekend. Why can't they come when there's no line? And they just want to get all these things signed and put them up in their booth to sell for extra money. And us poor average schlubs are waiting here. And he's like, I got to get home and give insulin to my diabetic dog. And he goes, if one more vendor comes and jumps the line, I'm going to choke somebody. And then he was like, I'm not actually going to choke somebody, but I'm just really frustrated. So he was very vocal about his displeasure with this whole system. And maybe that was to our credit, because then finally what they decided to do is they said, okay, we're going to put some order in this, and we're going to make sure that nobody gets jumped in line more than once. So like if you're waiting in line, first at the line to meet the celebrity, one VIP or one vendor can go ahead of you. Then after that, it's going to be your turn. And then any VIPs or vendors will go ahead of the person behind you. So you can only be jumped in line one time, which I was like, bravo, bravo, this is great. So that helped our line begin to finally move after being at a standstill. And as I said, you know, you're in this line like herded like cattle, and it's hot in there, and it was like, it's just a miserable experience waiting. Then once I did finally get to meet Doug, that was wonderful. And I had a very nice conversation with him. I felt a little guilty talking to him as much as I did, because I know how long the others were waiting. But hey, I deserve my time with him too. So I talked to him about Dead by Daylight, because obviously I'm an influencer with Dead by Daylight, and Doug Bradley he does the voice lines for the character Pinhead in Dead by Daylight. And I was telling him how great it was that we didn't get a sound-alike voice, that he was the actual actor who played Pinhead and did the voice lines in the video game. So we talked about that a little bit, and I had also talked about how I had spent time with them during COVID watching their live streams on Twitch, where, you know, they couldn't go to the convention circuit like they would normally do. So they would just host these live streams and talk about, you know, those Hollywood experiences, what it was like on the set of these movies and things. Him and his wife would do these live streams. And so I had missed his wife. She had stepped away from the table by the time it was my turn to meet him. So I said, oh, you know, let your wife Steph know that I'm sorry that I missed her and stuff. And I talked to him about who I was, because I had chatted with them on the live stream. I actually sent some Instagram messages back and forth to his wife about the voice lines and all that experience. So, you know, I knew her on a very basic level, and I said, you know, I'm sorry that I missed her. And so then he signed my pop, and I said, I had decided before I went, I looked at some comparable autographs on eBay to try and figure out what I wanted, what color paint pen would look best and things like that. And I decided that I wanted white. I wasn't sure how the white would show up, since Pinhead himself has a white face. And I said, I wonder how that's going to look white on white. And so when I saw examples on eBay, I said, yeah, that's what I want. So I asked him, do you have a white pen? And he said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. But luckily, I brought my own. I came prepared. I brought one of these paint pens here with me. And I said, I have my own. So he signed it for me there, and it says Doug Bradley, and it has the big pin on the side, and it says Pinhead underneath. So he did that for me. This is the Hot Topic exclusive glow-in-the-dark pop. And then on the side, I asked him if he would do another personalization, and he said, what would you like? And I said, how does the line go now? I messed up because of what I'm reading here on the sign. It says, oh, please, no tears. They are a waste of good suffering, right? I think that's the line. So I asked him, no tears, please. That's what it is. No tears, please. They are a waste of good suffering.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
And so then he said, okay. But then I guess when he was writing it, he got mixed up in his head. He must be a big fan of Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo, because he signed it no more tears, which, you know, that's Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo. That's not the actual line, but I think that's funny, and it makes for a good story, telling this instead of no tears, please. It's no more tears. So, all right. So then I went and I thanked Doug for his time and the autograph, and I think it came out absolutely spectacular. It really pops with that white paint pen. And so then I went from there down to the James Spence Authentication service, where they have an on-site booth that they will certify that your autograph is real. Now, I'm not going to sell it. It's just for me. But it's nice to have, you know, for the future, this authentication so nobody can ever doubt that it is legitimate. So they wind up putting this little sticker on the side there that says James Spence Authority, and it has this serial number, and then they give you JSA, and it gives you this, they give you this card with a matching number on it for the certificate. It says basic certification. This item has been fully examined by the James Spence Authentication LLC, and it is our considered opinion that the signature is genuine. And so you can go on the website after the fact, and let me bring it up here. Autograph authentication service from James Spence, and then if you go down here and you'll say verify the authenticity, and you click on this, and it asks you to put in your number. So what is it? AL54077. And then when you click verify, it'll say here, this is a signed Funko Pop signed by Doug Bradley. So you can check that nobody faked this. You can check on the website that it is a registered number authenticated by them for the autograph. So yeah, I'm pleased as punch with that. So that was the first one that we got. So I went down to the authentication service, and then as I was walking back to Kane Hodder's line, I saw that Doug's wife, Steph, was there. So then I chatted with her for a few minutes and said hello, because I had missed her before, so I definitely wanted to talk to her and say hello. So I did that. And then I was faced with Kane Hodder's line, which Kane Hodder's line was the longest line that was there. Like, he was the star of the celebrities as far as, you know, the lines could tell. If you wanted to meet Harry Hamlin, boom, you just walk right up and meet him, no big deal. If you wanted to meet, what is his name? Thomas Henry, the kid who played Elliot in E.T., no line. You just walk up and meet him. Jerry Mathers, just walk up and meet him. Everybody else, the lines were very short. Doug and Kane Hodder were the two longest lines. So I get up into Kane Hodder's line, and they announce that he's going away for his photo ops. And so everybody's like, oh, and the line is 2 to 3 times as long as Doug Bradley's line was. And so then some people are looking around, should we stay, should we go? And I'm thinking, well, I'm staying, because I saw like how quickly Doug was able to do his photo ops and come back. So I'm staying, and a lot of people decided not to stay, and they left, which was great for me because I wound up moving up in the line. So then Kane comes back, and we start to run into this same issue with the line jumpers, with the vendors bringing out 10, 20 things for Kane to sign. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a while. So by now, it's like 5 o'clock, 5:15, something like that. And I'm thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a while. And I still wanted to shop, and the venue closed at 8. So I wind up waiting in line until like 7:15. I'm looking at my watch, and I'm thinking, wow, I don't know that I'm going to have my turn in time before this closes, because there's still about 10 people in front of me at this point at 7:15. I've been waiting in line for 2 hours. And, you know, one thing I will say to Kane's credit is that he spends a lot of time with his fans, which is, it's good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because, you know, you really feel like you get your value as a fan. You get to talk to him, have that personal experience. It isn't like you're just move through assembly line, sign next, sign next. You get that personal time with him, so definitely you get your value there, but it also makes the line go very slow, right? Now, there were some people who were just happy to get their thing signed and move on. They didn't want to have that personal time with him, but there were other people who wanted to have like 10-minute long conversations with him. So, yeah, the line was very slow going. So it's getting to be 7:15, and I'm looking at how many people are in front of me, and the line is 20, 30 people deep behind me. And so I turned to one of the handlers there and I said, so what's going to happen at 8 o'clock? Like, if I don't get up there, am I going to make it? Or is he going to stick around? What's going to happen here? Like, look at all the people who are behind me. How's he going to process all of these people before 8 o'clock? And she said, well, that's a good question. So she goes around and asks some people, and then she comes back and she says, well, Kane will stay until everybody is processed, even after the show is closed. And I'm like, well, that's great, but you know, I got to get my thing autographed, and that booth is going to close at 8, so I got to get this done before 8 o'clock. And she said, well, I think you'll make it. I'm like, well, I wouldn't be so sure. So it winds up being 7:40 by the time it's my turn. Luckily, there were a few people in front of me who were just happy to get their thing signed and be on their way. So while I'm going to pay, oh, I should mention the cost here, right? So it was $60 Canadian for Doug Bradley's autograph, and the authentication service was another $15. So I have $75 into the autograph, not including cost of the pop. Well, Kane was a little bit more. Kane was $85, and then I would be looking at the authentication for that, so that'd be another $15. So I'm $100 into the autograph, right? So I'm looking at the prices on the table, and then it also says $55 for a table photo. And they have all these 8x10 glossy photos of Kane in costume as Jason and or Hatchet, things like that, different roles. And I said, what does this mean where it says $55 for a table photo? I said, is that these photos you're selling here? And the lady who took the money, she said, no, that means if you want to get a photograph with Kane, it's $55. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I got a photo with Doug, you know, obviously, and that was no charge. That was free. But Kane was charging $55 to get a picture with him at the table. So I thought, wow, I'm already into this thing for $100. I don't know that I can afford this. So I'm like, I'll just pay for the autograph. Thank you, ma'am. And I paid my $85. So I told many people that I was going to this Niagara Falls Comic Con on my live streams and chats and things like that. And a few of my friends looked over the guest list, and AJ, Husky Swordsman, Pop Pals for Life, he was the one who first brought it to my attention that Kane was going to be there. I was just so laser focused on Doug that I hadn't really looked at anybody else. And he said, man, you got to get Kane Hodder's autograph, don't you, Paulie? And I said, do I? And he goes, yeah, this is like the definitive Jason. Are you going to pass up the opportunity? And I'm like, okay, well, I'll think about it. And I wasn't exactly sure if I had an extra Jason pop to get signed and how could I get one quickly. And my friend Randall reminded me that I did have an extra one that he said that I was saving for him. And he said, you can use that one. And I said, okay. And Randall also sent me a video about that Kane Hodder made. It was like a biopic about his life. It was called To Hell and Back, where he recounts his life experiences from childhood through Hollywood and things like that had happened to him. And Randall told me how much that biopic meant to him. And so I watched it and I was like, wow, this is a pretty powerful thing. And so Randall shared some personal story about that with me, which I'll talk about when I recount my meeting Kane. But yeah, it was really impactful. And after that, between AJ and Randall, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to meet Kane and get his autograph. And that's why I waited for so long, about 2.5 hours in that line. So I meet Kane, and he's a great guy, just like, you know, you had seen him deal with everybody else. He was just a super pleasure, nice guy. And so I said, I know, you know, your line here is very long and you're trying to get through all these people as quick as you can before the show ends and stuff, but I would be remiss if I did not tell you this story, sir. And he said, well, what's that? And I said, well, my friend Randall, he was on dialysis for 5 years, and Kane's like, oh, wow. And I said, and then he told me that he was in a pretty dark place at that time, thinking, well, this is the rest of my life on this dialysis. And then he stumbled across your biopic, Kane, Hell and Back. He had watched it. And then he saw the stories that you, Kane, had shared in your biopic about how you had been bullied mercilessly as a child, and how you had gone through your stuntman injury where you were burned across 50% of your body, and how through these different experiences in your life that you had dark times and you considered even taking your own life because of how bad things were. And then at the end where you share all these stories, which, by the way, Kane had said in other interviews that he wasn't sure that he was going to share these stories about him being bullied and things like that, because he has this tough guy persona, right? As the tough stuntman or the man behind Jason. And he wasn't sure if that would like make him look weak or hurt his brand. But he said, screw it, you know, this happened to me, so I'm going to share it with people, and if it helps somebody, so be it. So he talks about all these hard to discuss topics in this biopic. I would recommend it to anybody to watch it. Actually, I'll link the description in the description of the video. You can watch the Hell and Back right here on YouTube. So he talks about all these experiences that he had in his life and how things got really dark and he considered checking out. And then at the end, he says that he's glad that he didn't, because look at all of the things that he would have missed in his life if he had.
But look what I would have missed. That's huge, I think. I hope to instill in people that get to that point, you don't know what you might miss. And I would have missed all of this.
And that really resonated with my friend Randall. And I said to Kane, I said that was the thing that my friend Randall needed to hear at the time when he needed it most. And you were there for him, and you conveyed that message to him, and it turned his perspective around to stick with it. And a year later, he had an anonymous person donate a kidney, a live donor donate a kidney to him and give him back his lease on life. And that might not have happened if he hadn't seen your biopic and heard your story that you were willing to share with everybody. So I want to thank you for that. So Kane's listening to me. Ooh, see, Mom, this is why I couldn't make this video just like that. This is an emotional story. So Kane's listening to me say all this, and he's like, first he signed in the thing and he's listening to me, and then he just kind of like rocks back in his chair, like just laser focused on me, listening. And you could see that it really hit him hard. I could see that in his eyes he started to well up when I'm telling him this story. And I said, you probably hear this a lot, right? And he said, no, not really. No. He goes, but that's what it's all about. And he's like, that's why I shared that in the biopic. So he's like, that's amazing. He said, I'm so glad you told me that story. And he said, can I get a picture with you? So here's Kane asking me to get a picture with him when I'm supposed to be paying him $55 to get a picture with him. And I said, sure, it would be an honor. And he says, we get a picture, will you send this to your friend and tell him thank you so much for sharing that with me, that that my biopic helped him and meant something to him? I said, of course, I'll give it to Randall for sure. They said, all right, let's do it. So he gets up and we take the picture, and then he just like shakes my hand so vigorously, and he said, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. That really meant a lot. Thank you. And so then we parted ways, and you know, it made me feel glad that I told him that you know, that really is what it is all about. You know, we all have to help each other get through this life. And yeah, that really is what it is all about, that Kane could help somebody like that with his story. And yeah, So let me show you the autograph here. And so I obviously, when I got home, I went on the computer and I shared the photo with Randall and the whole story about Kane's reaction. And I said, "You made Kane Hodder cry, buddy." And he's like, "What?" So I told him all that. And I think Randall was touched by the whole experience too, which made me happy that, you know, I touched Kane and I touched Randall with this whole encounter, even though the two of them never met, that I could be that bridge to share the story between the two of them, and it meant something to both of them. And I told Randall, and I said, and then I got a free photo with Kane Hodder. So I said, "I'm going to tell your story to every celebrity I meet from now on." And he said, "Screw you, man." So we had a good laugh over that. All right, so here is my Jason autograph here. And it's signed Kane Hodder, again in the white paint pen. Look, there's only 3 people who have ever touched this paint pen in its entire life. Well, maybe the person at the factory assembling it, I don't know. But me and Kane Hodder and Doug Bradley are the only ones who ever touched this paint pen, because I provided the paint pen again. So here we have Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, Kane Hodder as Jason, and Friday the 13th, Part 7, Part 8, Part 9, and Jason X in space. And then I was done like I said, around 7:40, 7:45, and I scurried down to the James Spence Authenticator booth again, and they gave me my sticker and my number. Let's punch this one in here. So let's see if we go on this website again, and then we hit back, and we can type in our number. We'll authenticate this one, AL 541146. I mean, we're not going to authenticate it. We're going to verify the authenticity. Verify. Sign Funko Pop. Well, it doesn't say his name on it. Dang it. Did they not put it in there? Huh. I thought it should say Kane Hodder. Just says sign Funko Pop. All right. Well, good enough. Okie dokie. So that was my experience of meeting the celebrities and making them cry. And, you know, they say don't meet your heroes and stuff, and I have definitely had some bad experiences at convention meeting celebrities that I wish that I hadn't, because it significantly impacted my opinion of them, but not in this case. So, you know, you gotta try, right? You gotta try. But yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about both of these gentlemen. It was a delightful experience, and I'm happy that I did it. And so much so that it's made me look on the horizon for other conventions that I could perhaps go to and meet other celebrities and get them to sign their Funko Pops. But from top to bottom, it was worth the wait. It was a lot of waiting. But yeah, I would do it again. I'm happy with the autographs. I'm happy with the experience of meeting them. And yeah, that's all I have to share with you today. I think this has been about a half an hour. So we're going to go ahead and end it there. And I'll just sign off by saying, thank you for the time that you spent here with me on my channel. I'm crying now, Mom. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the time that you spend here with me on my channel. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.